Okay, so hello everyone. My name's Joshua. I'm the founder and director of El Terreno here in Atandawa in the center of Ecuador. We've got another presentation here from Olive Cape from the United States, who's been with us also for 3 months, working alongside Quinton on his project in certain elements, but also developing her own project around a school library and other activities in the rural school, which there's a lot of need in these rural schools. They don't get a lot of governmental support. They're very under-resourced. They even said that they collect and sell plastic bottles and recycled paper in order to pay for some of the basic materials that they have. And then, as a result of that, very few of them actually go to high school. Only about 1 in 4 of the children's continue with education beyond about 15, 16 years of age in these rural schools. And the community where Oliver's been working is an indigenous community, and the native language is Quechua. But due to the cultural degradation over time, there's less than 5% of the kids that still speak Quechua. So there's lots of issues that Olive has been working towards and helping to reinforce in a project. So Olive, over to you to share a little bit about what you've achieved over the last few months.
Thank you. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, so like Joshua said, I've been working for the past 3 months in the school, doing many different activities, but the main focus is literacy and reading and writing with the students. So just some basic information about the school. So the schedule every day, 7:30 to 9:45, they have a block of classes. And then 9:45 to 10:15, they have one break. And then from 10:15 to 12:30, they have another block of their classes. So there are about 300 students from 4 years old to 15 years old. But the older they get, more people drop out because families need them to work or some get pregnant, things like that. So there's less students going up, like the older you get, there's less students that go to school. There are 11 levels and 14 teachers, and then they teach natural sciences, math, art, cooking, and English for those who are 8 years old and older. Okay. So the first month I was there was kind of like learning about the challenges at the school, and these are like the biggest ones that I've noticed. Kids are not fed proper nutrition. This is at the school and also at home. So it leads to really bad attention spans in the students. They cannot focus, they misbehave. So it's really hard for them to learn because they are constantly distracted. They're really hungry, things like that. There's also the lack of resources, like Joshua mentioned. This also leads to teachers being disorganized. Basically, there's been many times I've gone to the school, and when a teacher's been out sick, the students still go there, but they just sit in an empty classroom all day, and they don't learn, or they don't do anything, and they don't have any like supervision. Supervision, yeah, okay. And then also, teachers will leave in the middle of lessons, which is really hard for the students because they aren't um, very focused. It's very hard for them to like stay in the same mindset to, oh, this is what I'm learning, because teachers are leaving to talk to other teachers, and then they get, oh, like I can misbehave now, and then they're like, oh, I have to learn now. So it's just really disorganized and crazy. Then teachers are mestizo, while the majority of students are indigenous, which leads to a disconnect in how the students are learning. For instance, they're not learning Quechua. This is mainly because the Ministry of Education only hires mestizo teachers. So also the last problem that I noticed was that students struggle a lot because of familial issues. Some of that is domestic abuse. Some of that is when parents emigrate, they leave their kids alone. And so then the kids' main priority is getting fed, getting things like that. And they don't focus very much on school, or they don't go to school very much. Okay. So the first thing that I was doing in the school was teaching classes to the students. So each week I would go in with a couple different people. Catalina, who's right here, who was my mentor. Lorenza, who was another volunteer, but she had to leave a little bit early. And then Paulina, who is the librarian from the library in Guaranda, and her 2 volunteers that she had. So we would all go into the school every week and we would read books to the children. And then after the books, we would do like different activities about them. So the older kids would write stories. So here's an example of a story with the with the title page and everything. And then the younger kids would like draw or do little games based on it, depending on their age. So like at the end of this, we did a little competition for Christmas, and it was like all of the students would write little stories, and then there was a winner, and they got notebooks, which we kind of hoped would encourage them to continue to read and write and draw and just be creative. And we are organizing for the school visits to continue for the next 3 months because continuity is the most important things in this. They really need to have longevity to have any impact. Okay. So the next thing we did was we brought the kids from the school to the library in Guaranda, and this is where they could meet the different workers at the library. So this is Paulina here, and the different workers there, the books. So 1 second. The books and the computers that the library has, which are just very important educational resources that the students now have access to. And for a lot of these kids, it was actually their first time leaving San Juan. So it was really cool for them to be able to see this. And it's really not far for them. So we are hoping that they will continue to come. And the school is arranging more of the library visits because now the principal and the librarian are contacting each other, so which is really good. So this is them visiting the museum. This is called La Guitarra, and it's about El Carnival, which is a festival each year, and it has a lot of like history about it and everything. And so the kids were able to go there and learn about that, which is to help like connect them to their culture. So the next thing that we did was create a mural in front of the school. This was mainly Lorenza's project because she's an artist, but since she had to leave, I had to help organize it. So when we were thinking of like things to do for the school, we decided to do the mural as well because it's really important to us that the kids know that what they do matters and what they do has an impact. And we thought this was like a very immediate way for them to see what they are doing has a very beautiful outcome. And so the designs on the mural are actually like what they drew from the like activities and classes. What they drew ended up on the mural. Yeah, okay. And then we're gonna do another one next month as well, where the kids will have more creative liberty to design and paint and all of that. So that's that. And then, so this is like bringing books to the school. So the library actually had about 150 books that was written both in Spanish and Quechua. And so we were able to give each of the students who know how to read one of their own copies of these books, which was really, really cool to see. They were so excited to get them and they instantly started reading them, which was so amazing to see. But basically the books are about Quechuan folklore and folktales, and it being written both in Spanish and Quechua hopefully will help a little bit preserve the language a little bit longer. So, and then the final thing I did was start the library in the school. So this is really important because the teachers don't have like many resources to help teach. So these are supposed to be there to help supplemental the learning. So it has about 55 new books that we bought and then about 100 donated books. So there's books ranging from like dictionaries to encyclopedias to a lot of short stories to books about the human body and history. And there's some that are like short chapter books to start encouraging students to start reading by themselves and reading in their free time. And in the next 3 months, we will buy more books once the teachers kind of start learning like what they need more of and what would help them the most. And then they would tell us their suggestions and we will go and buy more books. So the last thing I want to talk about is possible future projects in the school or like things that are needed. And the biggest one is kids nutrition. This is huge. It's like the quality of the learning would go up so much if the kids could pay attention for the hours that they're being taught and everything. And the easiest way to do this is to start with the like snack buffet at the school because it mainly sells like candy and sugar and things. And so switching that out with healthier options would help the energy of the students instead of having really high like peaks in sugar and then really fast crashes. The next is working in smaller groups with the students to encourage reading and writing. We wanted to do this, but we just ran out of time with everything we were doing. But basically, just going to a class and splitting up into groups of 4 or 5 students and reading and working with them. Because that way you can have like a bigger impact on each of the students, especially the ones who really do love reading and really do love literature in general. And then this is a one is doing a more in-depth study of the curriculum and bring specific help to aspects of it. So I think there's definitely some lessons that I've noticed when I was just observing classes where I instantly had ideas of how to help it, but it was just so much for me to do. But being able to say like, oh, here's a fun project that I did in school with this project, with this topic, and then bring it to that school, I think would really help make learning more fun for the students, and having more variety in what and how they are learning will make it more fun for them. And then introducing teacher classes. I think this is super important for the cultural preservation in San Juan. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit and trying to start it, and it's definitely doable. There are a couple of challenges, but I think it would make such a huge difference. And then this one is to help bring Wi-Fi and computers to the school. I think we also like kind of talked about bringing computers to the school, and the biggest issue with that is the Wi-Fi, how you have to pay each month, and it's definitely needs to be some problem solving, but it opens an entire world of educational resources for the students. And then finally, workshops with the older kids about university and other work options. Um, Workshops at the library would be like super amazing because just giving these students an idea of what their lives can be would be so helpful for them because it can bring a varied income back into San Juan if they decide to do other jobs and, bring it back to San Juan. So yes, that is everything with my presentation. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Olive. Again, you've done a really fantastic job over the last 3 months, and especially over the last month or so, with so many different projects and so many things happening all at the same time. But it's all come together really nice. And what you didn't mention is you also did a fundraising project alongside this to make all of this possible and raise $2,500, which has gone towards the materials and site visits and other things like that, which is amazing. So yeah, we can open it up to questions in a second. I'm wondering myself, what's the thing, where do you find with all of these challenges that you see in the school, what were the moments of hope that you felt for the future of the students?
Well, I think it's the reason I started this project was when I was at the school and just there to observe and everything. And during the break, I started reading, and all of these kids came up to me and wanted me to read to them and wanted to like read with me and everything. And that just like gave me so much hope because these students really want to learn and they really want to read and do like so much, and it's just the resources that are stopping them. So I think giving them that, like, it was so amazing to see their reactions to getting the books and all of it, and the writing that they did, the stories are so beautiful and put so much effort into it, and I think it's amazing.
Thank you. Are there any questions from anyone else on the call? Well, I guess I'd like to, I mean, what you said about the nutrition issue is a really big problem. So child malnutrition in these rural communities is about 48%, due to the diet that she mentioned. You know, the local shops only really sell fizzy drinks and snacks and stuff like that. The families often don't have the knowledge about nutrition and also the access to a wide variety of food. There's a lot of carbohydrates and meat protein, but that's pretty much the diet. There's not much in the way of micronutrients. And yeah, and everything's connected, you know. So the poor quality of water means that there's a lot of kids which have got chronic diarrhea, parasites, other issues like that. And then when that's combined with a poor diet of what they eat, is really going to affect their physical growth and their their intellectual, psychological growth. And then that combined with the lack of resources at the school really limits them and holds them back from having a start. So the work in school is essential. And it's interesting because I've gone to go and see lots of different projects around Ecuador. I'm constantly going to see if I can learn more about different ways of doing things and how other projects have been successful in different communities. And the ones that I've been to, which have been going for 15 to 20 years, they all say the children, the young people, because often the older people in the community have got a way of doing things. Tradition is very strong, and often trying to change minds and change ways of doing things can be a big challenge. But working with young people and exposing them to different languages, different people, different opportunities, different ways of seeing the world is a foundation for the communities beginning to change. Like, and you know, the project here at El Terreno, we're looking to stay here for probably 20 years or something like that. This is a long-term project, so hopefully we can see that impact ourselves in the long term. And projects like Olives, you can even see when you're walking around Atandawa and the kids who come to our English classes and other things, there's a spark, there's a light going on in their eyes about, okay, there's more opportunities for me out there, and there's other things. So yeah, Olive, I just want to thank you again for your dedication over the long term and helping them, expose them to being able to travel around, get to know their culture, and inspire them to get involved with reading, which is what the purpose of the project was all about.
Thank you.
Any final questions or answers before we wrap up today? Okay, well, as Olive mentioned, the school project, we actually haven't spent all of the money yet. So it's great because we're able to continue this project into next year, even when Olive is left, buying some more books, doing some more trips to the museum. We do have a donations page, which you can find. Once I upload this, I'll put it on the in the description below. So if anyone else is feeling moved and wants to make a donation, we've got a website which can go specifically towards this project to help support more children in these low-income rural communities. Thank you, everybody, for joining today on the call. It's great to have you here. And thank you to our interns for continuing to do amazing work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Until next
Bye.
time.